Go to a place. I wanna go. Go to a place. Do you want to go? Go to a place. I wanna go. Go to a place. I can take you there. I can take you there. Do you want to go? Go to a place. I can take you there. Say do you want to go? To a place. Search for by your side.
Hello. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm tJrandolph, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. Please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me okay. I'll wait for a moment. Hey, nephew. Yeah. Who do I have in here with me? Can you all hear me? Put a 1 in the chat, please, if you can hear me. This is not milk I'm drinking. This is not milk I'm drinking, okay? It's like that. I'm drinking pecan praline whiskey liqueur over ice because it's that kind of day. It's that kind of day. So nobody's going to put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to assume that people can hear me. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you all can hear me until I see otherwise. This is an impromptu discussion because I wasn't planning on having it. I haven't even taken my clothes off from work. Work? TJ, I thought you was retired. I am. I've been retired for a year since October. Well, officially retired since October 2021, but stopped working May 2021. And guess what? I got bored. So I asked Mr. Randolph if I could find a little part-time job, something to do to get me out of the house and I could put some clothes on and look cute. So that's what I've started my second week. I work 2.5 days a week. So it gives me an opportunity to get out of the house, interact with people, put some real clothes on, put some makeup on, comb my hair, so that's what I'm doing. And, but before I get into the topic, I was going to talk about something earlier today. As a matter of fact, when I was in my car, because when I'm in my car, I work for a state agency now part-time that shall remain nameless. But when I've been at work, I've been observing people, particularly women, particularly our women. And I'll say this, we must do better. We must do better. I'm not even going to talk about the weight because that's a given. But please, even if you are overweight, can you dress nice for your size? Can you do that? And I will tell you, people treat you differently when you dress nice. People treat you differently when you dress nice. And I don't mean necessarily dressed up, but put together. In a time that everything is so casual and lax, I refuse to go gracefully into the night. I will not. When I started my job last week and they said the dress code is casual, I said, okay, that works for them. But see, I got to represent. And it, like I said, people treat you differently when you dress nicely. I'm just a little admin person because I don't want no responsibility. But because I dress nicely, some people have mistaken me for someone that is of significance. So again, I say, ladies, people treat you differently when you dress nicely. Okay. I was not intending to come to you today, but when I got home, I go into my phone and I see this, caption, DJ Twitch boss dies at age 40. So I'm already saddened by that because to me, that is just so young. I'm 55. So the older you get, the younger you think things are. I mean, the younger you think people are, and they are. Thank you, Kosher. I appreciate it. So I was already saddened by that. But then when I started to dig a little further, it says the manner of death was suicide. And that hit me hard. And you all know why. But I'm going to play something. I'm not going to put the video up, but I am going to play something that was captured. Yeah. So I'm gonna mute myself, but I want you all to hear this, and then I'm gonna come back and talk to you.
Continue to fall this morning. Stephen Boss. Shocking news. We continue to fall this morning. Stephen Boss, known to many as tWitch, the DJ for the Ellen DeGeneres show, has died by suicide. Chelsea Edward joins us live from West Hollywood with more on the tragedy that we're all trying to wrap our heads around. Good morning.
Yeah, it's just shocking news to get, especially before the holidays. And if you follow him or know him and his wife, their content is just so positive and energetic and full of life. To get this news, just really hard to wrap your head around. He was a dancer, a DJ, a choreographer, a producer, a father, a husband, all of these things. And TMZ has been reporting that his wife, Allison Holker, ran into an LAPD station yesterday, said that she was just frantic because Stephen had left home without his car, which was something that just wasn't like him at all. We've just now confirmed that his body was later found at a roadway inn in Encino. Reportedly, he has apparently died by suicide. Now, Stephen he got his really big break DJing on Ellen's show in 2014. He was with her just until this year when the show ended in May. He had also become an executive producer on that show back in 2020. And a big break early on in his career was in 2008. He was a runner-up on So You Think You Can Dance. During the pandemic, he and his wife and his kids would post these just joyous dance videos on social media. A lot of people said they really helped bring positivity to a lot of homes in such an uncertain time. Now, Allison has confirmed the death to People magazine, saying in a statement that he was the backbone of the family. Quote, to say he left a legacy would be an understatement, and his positive impact will continue to be felt. I'm certain there will not be a day that goes by that we won't honor his memory. We ask for privacy during this difficult time for myself and especially for our 3 children. Again, those 3 children featured quite prominently on the couple's Facebook and Instagram pages. Just hard to wrap your head around, especially before the holidays.
Okay, there's a little bit more, but I wanted to stop there. You heard the part when they said that his wife ran into the LAPD station frantic because she could not reach him, and he had not taken his car keys or car, something to that of that nature, and that wasn't like him. I fought back the tears because it took me, as I've shared with you all many a times, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it today. It took me back to May of 2021, which really caused me to end up taking off work because I decided to go for a walk. The day started off fine. It was a Sunday. Started off fine. Me and my husband had watched church, had a great morning. We're laughing, joking. And almost as instantly as this, something came over me. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it. So I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And when I put my things on, my dog knows when it's time to go for a walk, and he started wanting to go with me. And I said, no, I'm going by myself. But I'm going by myself, buddy. And I told my husband I wasn't going to take my keys. And I didn't. During that walk, it got heavier and heavier. The emotions just got heavier, and I couldn't understand what was going on because I had a happy marriage, the love of my lifetime. You know, all of my family was healthy during the pandemic. My granddaughter had just been born healthy. It made no sense. I was gainfully employed, and as I'm walking, the tears pouring down my face, and I'm battling in my mind to step out in traffic. Don't step out in traffic. Step out in traffic. Literally battling in my mind. Step off. Don't step off. As I see the cars coming, I'm battling in my mind whether or not to step off into traffic. And at that moment, the song by Fred Hammond came through my headphones saying, Lord, I need you. Please don't pass me by. When I heard this account, I was asking myself, I know what he was feeling, battling with in his mind because a wife, children, seemingly everything at his fingertips, but no one knows what's going on inside. And I would venture to guess he probably didn't understand it either. It's that quick. I was reminded of, I think, Chelsea Kirst earlier this year. The world at her fingertips. Miss USA, I believe, or USA, a lawyer, an Entertainment Tonight correspondent, the beautiful. The world at her fingertips. Everybody looking from the outside thinking, what would you have to be depressed by where you would need to take your life? When she steps off of this building, I'm sure as she stood there, battling in her mind, do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it. And then before she could take it back, she'd done it. It is not uncommon for many women to express or seek help because we battle with our emotions and hormones anyway, but men suffer in silence. Men suffer in silence. You know, with every broadcast and every video I post, I have, let me show it just a moment. I show this, I have it in the description of every video I do. Just a moment. In every video that I do live or that I post, I have these numbers. The National Breast Cancer Foundation, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the Veterans Crisis Line. I put it on every video I post, every live, because I know what it's like. Man, I'm telling you, it is okay to say, I don't understand what I'm feeling. I don't understand. I can't see my way through this, to reach out for somebody to help you. Women, we've got to be the anchor for our husbands, our men. My husband is my strength. He is my rock. But I would be lying if I didn't say that there were some times that he didn't need me to be his strength. And I am so grateful to be that. There are times that he's silent and I can tell that he's dealing with stuff that he may not want to share with me. I can tell. But I'm paying attention. I'm asking questions. Because our men are suffering in silence. We have so many people that are giving up. They're giving up like never before. Giving up. It does get better. But you have to be here to see it. I think about if I would have done it, how much I would have missed. Truth, nephew, if you're still in here, you know the times I spend with my G-baby, that I look forward to spending those times with her, and the giggles and the hugs and the kisses and rolling around on the floor. How much I would have missed. These kids, how much they're going to miss their dad. And have to understand and ask their questions. Why couldn't he stay for us? It's hard. I'm grateful to those of you who respect my opinions and my insight, because I've spoken with some of you and I've tried to talk Some of you through some things when certain things you wondered if it would take you out of here. When you felt like giving up. When thankfully I was able to reassure you or offer you some words that it does get better. It hurts now. It hurts now. But it does get better. We got to be here to see it, though. I'm going to drop the link, Kosher. If you're still in here, if you want to come in and offer some words, because you are a clinician and some of the things that you're seeing, you know, no pressure, but if you would like to, by all means, you can. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up something else that I saw. I want to read it. Just a moment. And I'm going to play this that I saw. There was a short that he did just a couple of days ago, I think, actually. So I'm going to share this.
Relationship with a person forever is that, you know, as an individual, you still continue to evolve, you still continue to learn, and you continue to grow and you change. So as a person's partner, you're also committing to go through the changes with those people and allow those people to have space to change and grow and evolve. There are days when you're going to be frustrated. There are days when you're going to feel a little selfish. There's days when you have just days for yourself. But even then, at the base root of that, there's still love there. When you embark on a relationship with a person.
How you doing there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Hold tight. Well, as long as I can hear you, hold tight.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, I can hear you. All right, so yeah, I'm at my office, right? I'm actually doing work, but I actually drop in for a few minutes because this is troubling. And you know, when I started the Coach Clinician, TJ, I always started with the war cry that a hopeless man is a broken man, and a broken man is a very dangerous man. And men are most vulnerable when they don't have the proper outlets to facilitate their pain. And I saw this early on. I think it was Uncle Stu had. I saw the clip. Then I saw Angry Man. Then I did a show. I'm going to do a show talking about mental wellness at some point. Another one with the culmination of this brother, you know, the guy from the Power Rangers, his life, and then also she took her life this year as well. And part of it, TJ, it's a myriad of reasons why this phenomenon is happening. Part of it is the dissolvement of community. That's playing a role. Communities are no longer intact. Some will argue, and that it's spiritual. Some of it's spiritual. You know, I remember a time, TJ, when we were kids growing up, it felt, you know, it felt like when the sun was out, it still felt like life. But the sun can be out now, and it feels very dark and heavy. I can remember a time growing up in the 90s where the world just felt different. But this world now, I don't understand it. It's very foreign to me. And so when you have the lack of family, when you have the lack of community, consistent with theology, you know, the theology even said that because darkness will be so strong that the love of many will wax cold. So people are not caring anymore. Some of it, TJ, I believe, is GMO in foods. I believe some of it's GMO in foods. There was a woman looking at a show last night. It's ironic you asked me this question, but there's a woman that's a pescatarian. This guy, he's an herbalist doctor. And so when they found out, she was thinking about contemplating suicide. And so when they found out that she had high levels of mercury from the GMO salmon, because you know now they make salmon GMO based. And so you got organic salmon that comes from the wild, then you got GMO salmon that's harvested in the planet. And they found out her mercury levels were so high, she should have died a long time ago. And she was contemplating suicide because of that. So there are a myriad of reasons, TJ, that can cause people to become suicidal. One could be genetic predisposition, which basically says that I was born with the genetic predisposition for suicide. Two could be the lack of nutrition, the lack of sleep. All those issues can mask depression symptoms, TJ. for the lack of people being caring. They did a study in the past, TJ, about they had two different babies. They had a baby, and where they gave that baby nurturing and that baby food. But then there was another baby where they gave that baby food, but they didn't give that baby nurturing. And it's consistent with theology. Theology say that man cannot live by bread alone. Man can't live by bread alone. Men need community. They need community. They need love. They need healing. And you know, when you don't have a community that they care about the concerns of men, because we live in a culture now, TJ, thank God that you love your husband and respect your husband. But we live in a culture now where we just see men as only commodities. We see men as walking ATM machines. We see men as subjugates to the fickle whims of so many modern women that don't really give a damn about them. They only care about their own selfish needs. And so because of that, when men cannot fulfill their expectations, then they suffer within. So they implode. And that implosion can turn to an explosion. The internalization of pain can turn to an explosion of pain. And that's what you're seeing now culminate at a broader level, the internalization of pain because of the lack of community, the lack of people hearing the sensibilities of men. And those men turn around, internalizing that pain and turning that pain into sometimes self-deletion or going on mass killing sprees that we've been seeing increase. When you and I was kids growing up in Gen X, you know, you heard about folks taking folks' lives, but it was not at the level that it is now. And then on top of that, Black folks didn't really kill each other when we were kids growing up. You didn't hear about Black people killing each other because we grew up in a time where we had faith, family, and community. But we don't have that anymore. So now, when white America get the cold, TJ, Black America gets the flu. And that's what happens when you have policies that are antithetical to understanding the struggles and awareness of men. And, you know, when you don't have the proper safeguards in place, those men can no longer handle those situations. And therefore they turn within, because it's almost like when you eat food and you can't find a way to process that food through expulsion or elimination, your belly will get bloated because the fermentation from the dead, rotten food inside of you slowly begins to destroy you on the inside. And that's what's happening to a lot of these people now. A lot of men, men are suffering mentally. And like I said, it could be for a myriad of reasons. It could be biological, sociological, spiritual, and also genetic predisposition. And all of those elements play a role in the evolution or the de-evolution of masculinity.
I tell you, I think it's all of it. And I'm going to tell you something. You said something earlier with respect to growing up and seeing the sun, and you felt light when we were growing up. I said a few years ago, particularly, and I say young, anybody younger than me, there's no life in their eyes anymore. Right. I noticed it when it comes to, you know, even some children and teenagers and young adults. There is no life in their eyes. It's almost like they're dead inside, because again, the eyes are the window to the soul. Yes, and ma'am. When you see their eyes, there's no life. It's like they're dead inside. And so, and then they're dead inside and they're angry. And like you said, they don't know. It may be a combination of all those things, but as it relates to men, for one, they're not used to having to discuss those issues, because again, men have been taught to hold it in. Right. For the most part, I'll just, you know, my husband is a Gen Xer. He's 57. Right. You know, he doesn't emote where you can see it, because again, that's not how he was raised. So now we're in a time that men are talking more, but there's still men that don't. And then if they want to talk, who do they talk? Right. And you're right, TJ. And that's one of the reasons why I plan to expand my brand next year. I'm going to start a conversation because I'm all there. You're breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, and I got to run in a minute, but a lot of men are looking for masculine Black male therapists from a heteronormative masculine perspective that's going to be unbiased and it's not going to be partial in understanding their needs. I've heard so many men, TJ, when it comes to practice in the past, they said they feel like a lot of the female therapists are biased towards their pain and their issues. Not all, but many are. And just like the young lady, the Shaw lady, you know, how she denigrated men
and you bitchs need to step up and open your mouths. That's how a lot of men feel. But we minimize masculine and male pain. But when women go through their trauma, when they go through their issues, we tend to magnify or aggrandize it. But when it comes down to the struggles and the pains of men, we minimize it because consistent with what Mike said, they don't really care about us. So when men see themselves as only commodities instead of seeing themselves as human beings, then they have no other recourse but to self-delete unless they have a higher purpose in life, which is the creator. But now, TJ, sadly, many churches do not amplify true theology anymore. They tend to aggrandize the feelings of our women. And when you aggrandize the feelings of our women without aggrandizing the honor, respect of our men, then there's a great conniption, there's a great chasm. And that great conniption, TJ, and that great chasm is why men don't value church anymore, partially. And they just feel like the effeminization of churches and the effemination of masculinity all parallel in hand, which is causing men to feel hopeless and in crisis. That's why we need to listen to the concerns and the struggles of men. My uncle, my aunt's husband, he took his life back in the 70s. I never understood. I can remember like it was yesterday. And he took his life, and I got my theories. I don't want to talk about it live, but he took his life. And it was speculation that, I'll leave that part. But yeah, he took his life. And I said, his children suffered from it. They were never the same. But that's what happens. You don't have that has a heart for the concerns and the care of men. But he didn't stay there. He tried to weak nail or emote for a period of time. Then to shed the age up, whether you're a man, you have to be able to deal with it. And I'm not saying that men should just sit back and cry all day, because part of being a man is that you can emote, but you can't stay there. You gotta focus on your purpose. I do believe men should emote and cry and get it out. But once you get it out, you got to get back up and heal and run on and protect your family and your children, because we don't have time to revel in our pain and our misery. We can cry, but we can't stay there. So it's unfortunate because so many have taken their lives. And the guy from Disney, the white guy that jumped off the bridge and took his life, TJ?
No, recently?
Yeah, there was a white guy from Disney. He was a principal. There were false allegations of
yes.
Mm-hmm. And he jumped off a bridge and took his life because he was a broken man. Therefore, he was a hopeless man. He was hopeless, therefore he was dangerous, and he just couldn't handle it no more. And so many, TJ, have gone to the grave broken. So many have experienced what Langston Hughes said: what happens when a dream comes deferred? So many are dealing with dreams deferred, and they buried their visions and they buried their talents, TJ, at the grave site. And now only at the resurrection will we hear the story of the pains of these men. And it's sad because I've never lived in a world, TJ, or a time where I feel so much heaviness and brokenness in the world. It's like a dark cloud in the world. You can't see it, but it's something malevolent behind the scene. It's there, but you can feel it, but you can't see it. The sun is still shining, but you still can feel that heaviness. Like I was saying, when we were kids growing up in the 90s, I didn't feel that. The sun, when the sun shined, when the sun was out, it felt like the sun was out. You didn't feel the heaviness or the darkness. But now the sun can be shining, and you can feel that darkness. And
well, you said
that's what I'm talking about. Have you experienced that?
Mm-hmm. In culture, I do experience it, and I experience it because you all know I have a diagnosed mental health condition. I have major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder.
Right.
I battle with that daily. So, and I battled with it even more when COVID hit. And I'm sure as a clinician, you understand this, because everything that clinicians tell you to do with it relates to depression, to be around other people, do all those things. When COVID hit, you couldn't do those things. So I was left by myself in my own thought. But even when I try, it's a fight.
It's a fight,
It is a fight. You're fighting with your mind if you already have a condition, but because of the darkness that you're talking about, absolutely I feel it. There's no smiling, there's no joy. I was out after I got off work at noon, and I went to do some shopping, and I'm just shopping, and I'm speaking to the people in there, I'm speaking to the ladies, speaking to the men, and I'm smiling. But people that are working in these places, they have these grimaces on their faces, and they're
Right.
not. It's like there's this heaviness all the time.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Everywhere.
Right. And everything you're saying is very profound, TJ. You know, when I was at UNC Chapel Hill, one of the things we talked about was a condition, TJ, called the phenomenological argument. The phenomenological argument basically posits this, TJ, that there are phenomena outside of the exercise of measured or understood by science. We call that in the psychology. Or we
okay, I need to repeat that again because I didn't hear none of it.
You got to give me a love offer, making talk.
Please say that again because I didn't hear any of it.
Okay, I'll say it again. So when I was in graduate school, there was a condition that we used that superseded science called the phenomenological argument. Basically, the word phenomenological comes from the word phenomenon. It basically posits that there are experiences outside, TJ, the realm of science that cannot be explained by empirical measures. It cannot be explained. So we call it phenomena, or phenomenological, just like what Carl Jung called parapsychology. So what I'm saying is that I believe, if you believe in the tenets of theology, there are spiritual conditions that coalesce or coincide with the spirit world, and because preachers now amplify or preach the gospel anymore, the heaven that people experience, I believe some of it is spiritual. I believe some of it is biological. I believe some of it is genetic predisposition, but also I believe some of it is spiritual because it's consistent with the therapeutic model. We call it the bio-psychosocial spiritual model. We call it the bio, which is the body, psycho, which is the mind, social is the environment, and then the spiritual. And many times things cannot be explained based on the level of heaviness that we're feeling now. And some theologians believe it's demonic oppression. And I know that we'll talk about it, sounds very obscure, but the spirit world is real. And I believe some of it, I say all of it. I'm not one to say everything. I'm not one to say everything is spiritual. I'm not saying that. But we cannot rule that out, TJ. We have to take that into consideration. I keep
Yeah, you keep breaking up like do like this, do like this and don't move.
Am I still frozen?
No, you're not frozen. You're not frozen now.
Right. So what's your take on that?
I agree. And shout out to Dr. Tony Evans of Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship.
Dr. Tony Evans, yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's our pastor, and he keeps it 1,000% real. He ain't playing with y'all. Okay. Oh, I lost him. He ain't playing with you. So, but I agree with what Coach is saying. But I really believe that we are in a spiritual warfare, and I say that because me and Mr. Randolph were just talking about that the other day. And he said that the things that are going on now, my husband said the things that are going on now, he didn't think that we would be around to see this kind of things that are going on in the world with respects to the violence, the hatred, the suicide, all of those things. The fact that we're seeing that, I do believe that it has a lot to do with a spiritual warfare.
It's spiritual warfare, yes, ma'am.
And to your point, Kosher, back when we were growing up, because the church was such a major part of our lives, most Black people didn't even think about suicide because we were afraid of going to hell. So even if we thought about it, we put that on our mind real quick because in church we were being taught fire and brimstone.
Right.
So, but now because there is such a lack of connectivity with the spiritual realm, many people don't even believe in God.
Right. Because they see so much malfeasance in the church now, TJ. the church have compromised the truth for money and fame. And because they see it manifest so much, people have turned to alternative forms of religion. I don't know if you're aware of this, but they said that witchcraft is on the increase. People are actually participating more in witchcraft now. A lot of our women are using witchcraft, and they're doing it because they feel like the church has become a void. The church at one time was a beacon of hope. It was a place of power, but you just don't have it anymore. So, consistent with Dr. William Glasser, TJ, was a psychoanalytic theorist. And Dr. William Glasser said that needs drive behavior. The 5 principles that Dr. Glasser talked about, TJ, was power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. Those were the 5 things that Dr. Glasser talked about. When you live in a world where you feel like you're devoid of power, you're devoid of freedom, you're devoid of fun, you're devoid of belonging, and you're devoid of surviving, then you have no other choice but to act out in a manner that's irrational, not only to you, but the greater populace of the world that we live in. And so what you're seeing now is irrationality, and that irrationality, in my opinion, it's the manifestation of a lot of things, but I think one of the greatest underpinnings is spiritual warfare. There was a person said that the greatest trick that the devil ever used was to convince the world that he didn't exist. And I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect. I got my own demons too. I got things I got to work through. So I'm not trying to act like I'm all spiritual and I'm super holy. And I'm not. I got some mess I need to work through myself. But I know right from wrong because I grew up in it. I remember a time, TJ, you and I were blessed to be Gen Xers because we remember a time where tradition and family, it wasn't perfect, but we saw it at a greater level now. But now you got kids, almost 80 to 90% of children now born in single parent homes with no fathers. It was an issue, TJ, back in the 70s at 26%. Now it's damn near over 80%, and it's increasing because we don't value what our ancestors value. We don't value our men anymore. So how can you when people say, "Oh, let's say you can't have a community without honor and respect of your men," and that's why I respect you so much because you love and you respect your husband. You value your husband as a human being and as a man. I respect you for that. But you from the old school, folks ain't trying to hear what you're talking about.
Well, many of them are not, but shout out to Red Lipstick Vibes because we got something coming up soon and I'm so excited about it. And my daughter is a wife, and there's some other young women that we're going to be talking with because you're absolutely right. Many young people are growing up in single parent homes, primarily single mother homes with no fathers. Not only that, but no father interaction. They don't know what a leader looks like.
Right.
Because even though I grew up, my mom had me, I knew what a leader looked like, and that was my grandfather.
Right. I
knew what strength looked like, and I thank God for my husband because he's so much like my grandfather. And I tell you, to that point, when we talk about family, and I don't want to get too far off, because we're talking about this young man, but that's one of the things with us growing up, even with our families, and they had their issues. We came together. If nothing else, we came together over Sunday dinner.
Right.
Over Sunday dinner.
Right.
We're going to look at each other in the eyeball and see what's going on. We don't even have that kind of connectivity even in our own extended family.
Right. You're right. I agree with you 1,000%. And I see it so often, TJ. So many of these young boys when they come into practice, I got to go in a minute. I got to see clients, but so many young boys, TJ, they have that wanderlust in their eye. They lack identity, and so when boys lack identity, then they lack purpose. When they lack purpose, therefore they lack vision. When they lack vision, they lack hope. And when they don't have none of those things, TJ, then it turns to self-implosion. I always said, TJ, in the past, that a community without the respect of Black men can never be a true community. You got to honor and respect the men of your community to get the outcomes that you want. One of the things and one of the ways you protect your men is by harnessing and protecting his sex or protecting his ego. How do you protect his ego? By honoring him, by respecting him. And that dirty word, TJ, that a lot of women don't want to hear is obeying your husband. You are a military woman, so you know about the mission. You're not in the show with Red Lipstick talking about the mission. but they don't understand the mission. So therefore they respond or reduce or they minimize the importance of their men. But women don't understand that a man will go to war for you if you love him, respect him, honor him, and trust him and be loyal to him. It's in our nature to give, TJ, almost synonymous to God, because man is the first fruit of God's creation. Consistent with theology, he said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So when you praise your man, when you lift your man up, he ain't got no other choice but to shower you with blessing, because he's a reflection of his creator. Do you hear me? I'm gonna make you take a love offering up in a minute. You're gonna take a love offering.
Oh, let me tell you this, shout out to Truth, because my husband we were talking to Truth of his dinner favorite earlier this week, and my husband said almost those exact words. I think Truth had a question for my husband, and my husband said he is a natural giver, and he knew that he wanted to be married because he is in him to give, and he wanted
it's in his nature to give, right.
He said exactly those words,
right.
And I don't make him regret.
But see, the world has told our women, TJ, to compete with their men instead of making love to their men. And you make love by making love to his mind first. Men get impregnated by the mind. That's how we get impregnated. Women get impregnated physically. But when you make love to his mind, TJ, he'll sing that old gospel hymn, I think I'll run on, see what the end's gonna be. That's what they say, TJ. He said, I think I'll run on, see what the end gonna be. Because he know, TJ, that his woman got his back. He knows if he go to work, she ain't gonna be texting her exes. He know if he go off to defend his country, she's waiting patiently because she got nothing but love for her man. And see, we grew up in a time where we heard songs like Shirley Brown, where she said, all for my man. She said, I love that man. And so when men feel love, TJ, oh my God, they don't understand. People don't understand how powerful it is to love your man. And loving your man is not necessarily through the eros, but it's through honor and respect. Women, y'all need the eros love, which is affection and touch and telling how pretty you are. Y'all need the eros love. But men need the principle of love, which is honor and respect. And when you do that consistent to your man, you are sharpening his mind and you're making him more productive to give to you, to serve you, and to give life. But these women there don't get it. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. And God forbid, if I was a single man again, I would probably never. It'll take a special woman to get me again, TJ. She'll have to be real special. She'll be real special. I'm old school, and my worldview is just totally different. And I'm not gonna be in no relationship. Talking about partners and all. No, you're my partner. You're my wife, sweetie. You're my wife, and I'm the husband. You're the wife, and I'm gonna take good care of you as long as you respect me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
T-Shaw is asking the question, how do we get the world to start caring and loving again? Before you answer that, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, because I was listening to some Christmas songs, and there's a song by Stevie Wonder, Someday at Christmas Time.
Right.
And it says, one day our world will come to be a world where men are free, maybe not in time for you and me. Mm-hmm. But someday at Christmas time. I don't know if we'll see that again. I don't know if we will see it. All I can do is what I do, even in my little part-time job, I try to show love. Mm-hmm. Because I will venture to guess some don't even know what it looks like to even be kind to somebody.
Well, it ain't gonna happen this generation, TJ, because it's prophetic. But what you can do in the meantime is so let your light shine that the world can see who lives within you. Consistent with Commission, Commission wrote a song back in the 90s. You remember Commission? I had Carl Reed on my show twice, and he said, "You need a life that shows." That's what Carl Reed said. You need a life that shows. So basically, what it means is that you're the salt of the earth. Let the world see something different in you, then it'll give it hope. And when the world sees something different in you, then to give it hope, then it'll that person that might be on the brink of taking their life, they'll say, I remember what TJ told me, so therefore I'm going to not take my life. I remember what Coach said, so therefore I'm not going to take my life. But we don't see it no more, and the so-called exemplars supposed to be the emitters of light. It's gotten so bad now that you can't even tell the difference. And I grew up in the church. I don't live it like I used to. I'm just being honest, but you don't see it no more. And because you don't see it anymore, people have lost hope. And when they lose hope, they have no other choice but to self-explode. Our hope and our ancestors' hope was faith. That's what kept us strong. Family, faith, and community. That's what kept us strong. Faith, family, community. That's what kept us strong. Because when you look at the struggles of Black folks, Most scientists and most anthropologists say they don't even know how in the world we did. It was supernatural that black folks went through chattel slavery, went through Jim Crow racism, and even though we had been impacted through post-traumatic slavery disorder, I think in part, we were able to overcome all of those hurdles. Some would say it was supernatural. I believe it was supernatural because no other race of people have been through what black people have been through. But now we don't have that spiritual foundation. We don't have fathers. We don't have the spiritual foundation. And when boys don't have an identity through their fathers because they don't have the arbiter of light, then they suffer in the darkness because the father and the man is the arbiter of light. So many times, TJ, they say the woman is the first teacher. That's a myth. The woman is the first teacher after the admonition of the father. The father teaches the wife, baby, this is what I need you to tell the children. And then the woman teaches the children based on the teachings and the instructions of the father. So many times, TJ, we hear in the world, they say, honor thy father and thy mother, but that's not what theology says. It says, honor thy father and honor thy mother, because the man was the first fruit and the woman came afterwards. But we don't honor our men. And that's why it's such a great chasm in these families now. And that's why men are traveling abroad, TJ, looking for traditional women, because they say it's hard to find here in America. It's hard, you know. Anytime a woman will call you a pick-me or a mammy for trying to do the right thing, that's dysfunctional. They call you a pick-me, I call a woman a pick-me and a mammy for trying to do the right thing. That's highly dysfunctional. And we have so many thinking errors in our community. Normal now is abnormal, and abnormal is normal. And it goes back to what the Bible said, up will be down, down will be up. And the world is turned upside down. Woe to a world that calls evil good and good evil. And that's the world we live in now, TJ. So there is no hope until the giver of life come back and restore what needs to be restored. And I think that'll be in the millennial kingdom. But until then, we must go through what we must go through because it's prophecy. It's prophetic, in my opinion. You can't change prophecy. You just got to go through it and be the salt of the earth until that appointed time.
Well, I agree with it. And to that point, I'm gonna go ahead and meet you so I get a little feedback.
Right.
To that point, my husband was saying that when I said I wanted to do this, and he, encouraged me to do it, I have to be a light where I can. Because again, what prompted me to come to YouTube in the first place is I was on the precipice about to walk out in traffic, and God said not so. God said not so. Through the song of Fred Hammond, I've been there. I've been there where everybody look at you like your life is just great. Why would you even think about such a thing? I've been there. I've been there when you feel like just forget it. It's no hope and it don't even make sense to you. I've been there. I'm telling you, it gets better, but you got to be here to see it. I'm telling you, like Kosha just said, our predecessors, our ancestors went through so much more. But I think, and I could be wrong, I think because we have so much at our disposal, we don't press through. We had to press through.
Mm-hmm.
We had to press. And we have it better than we've ever had it in our lives. But like Kosha said, I think it's a combination of all these, the GMO, the spiritual warfare, the predisposition, but we don't press. We don't know what to press for.
Right. We don't know what to press for, TJ, because we don't have the purpose to press for. I'm gonna share this with you, and I gotta leave. I need you. Y'all gonna have to drop a love, because I'm gonna drop some fire for your mind. but when you think about the greatest teacher in the world, Jesus, when he was on the cross in Gethsemane, he was crying. He said, "Man, I don't want to go to that cross because I don't want to feel the pain of being hung to the cross." But because his purpose, TJ, superseded his pain, he said, "Not my will, but thy will be done." So my point is this. I just dropped the word, TJ. My point is this. When your purpose supersedes your pain, then you can go through the pain because you know that your purpose is greater than your pain. And then you come out on top because, see, your pain does not or more or less hold you captive to your mind, but your purpose holds you captive to your mind. And then you overcome and say, "Not my will, thy will be done." And that's what's going on now. That's what's going on there. Your purpose must supersede your pain. And when it does that, then TJ, you overcome. But we know that sometimes there are biological issues that need medical attention. Some of it, because some folks say, well, this talk, I just pray about it. Well, you can pray about all you want to, but you got a chemical imbalance due to what's called a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. You might need some medication. You might need some sunlight. Some of this stuff, TJ, people are not getting enough sun. They're in the house too much. Some of it, TJ, because these cell phones have blue light, and that blue light is keeping them up all night. So therefore, it makes them feel depressed. Part of it, TJ, their diet might not be balanced. They could be going through nutrient deficiencies. It's causing their bodies to be in a state of chaos. But then on top of that, TJ, it could be spiritual warfare. So it's a myriad of reasons. Sometimes the things that look like it's spiritual, this could be biological. But sometimes the things that look biological could really be spiritual. That's why we call it psychosomatic, which means mind over body, soma's body, but somasomatic, body over mind. And so we just don't know which one it is. We have to, in the clinical world, we said rule out. So we have to rule out all the etiologies or the pathologies, TJ, until we come up with something that makes sense. But that comes with a high level of reasoning, understanding, and having a background in multiple disciplines. But not only that, TJ, being comprehensive in that background and being comprehensive in those said disciplines to help us see the greater pursuits of what we're struggling with or dealing with. But anyway, that's enough. I ain't gonna tell you about love.
Real quick, before you go, let me ask you this. Now, I know you're going to see clients. Do are you able to do counseling sessions via the Zoom? Because if I have young men that I would like to, send your way. Right. Excellent question. So let me share this with you. Consultations are totally different than diagnostic. I'm in the process of getting licensed in multiple states. But a consultation, TJ, is totally a non-diagnostic consultation is giving parameters around your issues, right? It's just giving parameters. But I cannot diagnose a person because it would be a violation of law if they're not in my state or my purview. So I can give them a consultation, which is a parameter around their issue, and give them practical guidelines to eradicate those issues. But I can't say, well, TJ got this or TJ got that. That would be a violation of law. And that would be unethical for me to do it. Do you see my point? So consultations, yes, but diagnosing, which means to diagnose, treat, and then after that evaluate and discharge, I can't do that unless I get licensed in that state. Does that make sense? Yes. So I need you to get licensed in the state of Texas. That's what I need. That's what
I'm working on Texas, California, Illinois, and also Maryland. I'm gonna try to. It's called comedy, and I'm gonna try to get licensed in all those states. And it's time for me to take it to a whole nother level. This shit, man. It's time for me to unleash the beast. Let the lion bust out of the cage, man, and try to help some of these people because we live in a very dark world, man, and it hurts me to my heart. When I did the coach and clinician, the Manhood Chronicles, I never knew that. I just thought about it, but then after a while, I said, man, the world needs to hear the struggles and the pains of men. Because maybe something I say might save another man's life, TJ, and that's the way I look at it. And also, TJ,
I'm about to drop your stuff in the chat. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, I'm going to do that right now as soon as I figure out how to do it.
And also, listen, go ahead. I just kicked out over $3,000 for a new machine, man. Literally almost over $3,000. It really been about $4,000. So Gen X Nexus, I promise you, you're gonna be the first person I interview with Gen X Nexus. You're gonna be the first one. It ain't the vision ain't go. You laugh. I'm dead serious. I know you said, Negro, you've been talking about that for a whole year, and I ain't seen no Gen X.
We still here. God kept us here. So
you understand, nigga, about Leo. Just because we say it's gonna come to pass. It might take 3 years, but if I said it, it's gonna come to pass. So Gen X Nexus will be a part of what I'm planning to do in the future. And we're going to go back and I'm going to interview a lot of folks from the Gen X, and we're going to talk about that nexus point where things begin to break, because kids need to understand how our world was totally different than theirs. And so it's going to be another good segue into what I'm doing in this movement. And so I'm working on it. I got my new machine. It cost me a lot of money, and it's going to be on point. It got to be on point, man. Because you know what? Because if it ain't kosher, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, TJ. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. So, so it got to be right, TJ. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. So I got to make it right. But anyway, sis, thank you for bringing me on. I'm gonna do a show on this soon. I'm gonna do a show. I might even use the clips we did. I'm gonna use the clips for this for our show, and I'm gonna do a show on it because it's something that needs to be addressed. This suicide epidemic. So I'll talk to you. I gotta go. Thank you, sis. Be good.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Okay, so thank you, Kosher, for coming. I'm going to, there are a couple of more articles. There's one more article I wanted to read that, good heavens, because there's so many questions to be asked. And I'm going to read this really quickly, just a moment. Okay. Okay, so let me go here. Stephen, Twitch boss, DJ for Ellen DeGeneres show, dead at 40 years old. Stephen Twitch boss, the amiable DJ for the Ellen DeGeneres show and dancer who rose to fame on So You Think You Can Dance, has died. His wife, fellow dancer Allison Holker Boss, confirmed in a CNN statement. He was 40. It is with the heaviest of hearts that I have to share that my husband, Stephen, has left us, Holker Boss said in a statement. Stephen lit up every room he stepped into. He valued family, friends, and community above all else, and leading with love and light was everything to him. He was the backbone of our family, the best husband and father, and an inspiration to his fans. To say he left a legacy would be an understatement, and his positive impact will continue to be felt, she added. I am certain there won't be a day that goes by that we won't honor his memory. We ask for privacy during this difficult time, and especially for myself and especially our 3 children. Boss died by suicide, according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner. The LA Coroner's Office concluded their examination and published the report of his death on Wednesday, which is today. Boss was pronounced dead around 11:25 a.m. Tuesday morning in the Los Angeles suburb of Encino. Holker Boss concluded her statement by saying, Stephen, we love you, we miss you, and I will always save the last dance for you. I'm going to go there. Okay. This is something that Boss said a while ago. It says, I have always been the type, quote unquote, don't tell me what I won't do, Boss said. I remember talking to his father outside his work in the parking lot and telling him, hey, I'm joining a dance team. I'm going to need some shows and some money to get some supplies. And he went on his tangent. I was like, oh, that means I'm really supposed to do this then. So there is this young man had I'm at a loss for words, to be honest, because like Kosher Clinician said, there could be a myriad of things at play here. But the article, not the article. Let's see, where is it at? When his wife ran to the police station yesterday, indicating that her husband left without his keys, that was unusual for him. We don't know what prompted it. We don't know if there was some discord. It's not, we can only speculate. But what we do know is that this young man felt there was no other option. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine shared with me that one of her friends' sons was seemingly doing well, but apparently dealing with something as well. And the mother woke up the next morning to the fact that her child had hung himself. Another young Black man. This is happening too much. The Kosher Clinician has given me something to really think about that I hadn't considered. The diet, I definitely know sleep is a part of it. You know, it could be, you know, a chemical imbalance. That is the case for me. It is a spiritual warfare. I believe it wholeheartedly. In the Garden of Gethsemane, you know, and if you're not, you know, hey, I believe in Jesus Christ. Oh, that's it. So if you ain't, you can go. But in the Garden of Gethsemane, the devil was speaking to Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane almost. And when I remember going through having those thoughts, you know, hearing myself in my own head telling me to walk out in traffic. That was the devil speaking into my ear, I believe. Just like the devil in the Garden of Gethsemane was trying to speak into Jesus. But Jesus spoke the word to him. But if he tempted Jesus, he will definitely tempt us. And like Kosher Clinician said, you know, when I think he said his uncle took his own life and his children were never the same, I remember telling my daughter what I had contemplated. And she was so angry with me. And she said, why would you do that? Why would you even think of such a thing? And I told her I didn't understand it myself. Because it made no sense. It made no sense. And like Kosher said, you know, when we were growing up, when the sun was out, there was light. But even with the sun out, it's still darkness. It's still heaviness. You know, I have to go back to Robin Williams a few years back. Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain. People that you would look at and think that, why in the world would they consider taking their lives? Robin Williams, he made everybody laugh. This young man, tWitch, the most beautiful smile. Let me tell you something. Let me go ahead and recite these words to you. BB and CeCe Winans have a song, What's Going On Inside. No, you know, and I know. It says, from miles away, they judge from my expression. And it looks to them that nothing could be wrong. Everything in life for now is going my way. And I must admit, I'm playing right along. But you know, and I know. You know I'm crying. You know, and I know. You know I'm lying. You know, and I know what's going on inside. Let me read a couple of comments here. This parenting game. Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. I believe it with my whole heart. I believe it. Yes. With my whole heart, I believe it. Yes, with my whole heart, I believe it. I'm gonna play one more thing. It says this, and I'm gonna credit Swaz Media. It looks as though he posted this maybe about 5 or 6 hours ago. It says Stephen tWitch boss said this 24 hours before he died. I'm just gonna play the audio.
Seen the power of care in my own life through the incredible relationship I have with my mom. You know, my mom always let me know that there isn't anything I couldn't do, you know, besides coming home after curfew. Sorry, Mom. But when it came to dancing, you know, I feel like I started a lot later than a lot of people do. So I always felt like I was playing a game of catch up. So my mom got me my first video camera so I could actually watch myself practice and critique myself and get better. And the way that she took notice of how serious I was about getting better and how dedicated I was to dance, it just made it the perfect gift. And as a matter of fact, that care that went into giving that gift made the Twitch that you know today. And everywhere that I dance and try to spread smiles and spread joy is a byproduct of that care. So I love you, Mom. Thank you. And y'all, the world needs more stories to inspire care. So make sure you share your story by using #TimeForCare. Yeah, I just wanted to say something real quick, man. I posted something yesterday about the Jacob Blake incident that happened. You know, seen the video, you know, read things all about it, and just I posted it to raise awareness and also just to share an outrage, man. This is happening too much. And even my caption said, is this routine becoming familiar? The routine of posting about unarmed Black folks being brutalized, and then following up with the hashtag justice for fill in the blank. And then in the comment section, there everybody goes, well, what about Twitch, don't post that. Don't divide us like that. Don't push that narrative, Twitch. Like, yo, like I don't have to push the narrative. The narrative's already happening. And also for everybody that answered the post asking me about, well, what about the 5-year-old that was killed by this person? Yo, what happened to Cannon, that was awful. That was tragedy. That was tragedy. And justice is being carried out.
Okay, let me stop it right there too. One of the things that also contributes to depression is social media. I have decided that there are just certain things I'm not going to discuss. Or if I discuss them, I'm going to touch on it, but I'm not going to stay there because I know what I can handle. And it gets into your spirit. Just like this young man was talking about, apparently, I guess 24 hours ago, he posts something and everybody is, everybody got something to say. Twitch committed suicide. They haven't said the how, but they did say that he did. Everybody always has something to say. So, and everybody can hide behind an avatar and, keyboard killers, typing terrorists. So I got to back away sometimes because I don't need it in my spirit. Sometimes we can have just too much information. I call it I'm overstimulated. It happened yesterday. Apparently happened yesterday. The article stated that his time of death was roughly 11:25 yesterday morning. The manner of death was talked about today with respect to him committing suicide. So there's and that's another reason, I decided to go ahead and get me a little part-time job to get out of my house. Like Kosha said, to get some sun, to interact with people. Because if you stay just typing and scrolling and swiping and, commenting, and it gets in your spirit because there's a negativity that abounds. So I've decided as I go forward, there are some serious things I'm going to talk about like this, but I'm going to try to give you encouragement. No, it may not get as many views. No, it might not have as many subs, but I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to help somebody, whether it be to learn from what I did as a parent, as a parent, to learn from what I did as related to dating, to learn from my own mental health struggles because I was on the brink of taking my own life. That's what I'm here for, to help somebody learn how to rediscover who you are after you've been a mom, if you're a single mom, and then your child goes and like, who am I now? I'm trying to help somebody to say, okay, I don't like the body that but how can I get healthier? How can I, look a little fitter? How can I look a little cuter? Age appropriate, of course. How can I establish some routines, some positive routines, some positive habits, some traditions? How can I value my family? How can I value that interaction with my family? Not only how can I value and invest in the family I was born into, but also the family that I choose and the family who chooses me. How can I make a difference? Yeah, I might call it some foolishness, but I ain't got time to sit here and say how jacked up we are all the time. I'm not going to do it. If that's what you want to see, there's plenty of it, but you ain't going to see it over here. Like if there's some things that are egregious, because I do have something coming, but I'm not going to stay there. Why? It weighs me down. It weighs me down. Let's continue listening to this young man. God rest his soul.
On the person that did that. If I'm not mistaken, the person that committed that atrocity is arrested and charged with first-degree murder. We still yelling about justice for Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Samir Rice. I'm just Philando Castile and countless others that are literally happening, it seems like, every other week.
Let me tell you what I see. I don't know if, in fact, this was 24 hours before he passed, but let me tell you what I see when I look in his eyes. I see weariness. I see weariness. I see weariness. And I'm looking in my mind's eye, the smile that this man had, beautiful smile. No, I don't see suicide, but I definitely see weariness. And because I have been there, when you walk out of your house and you don't take your keys, you don't take your keys. Like I said to my husband a year ago, I was going for a walk and didn't take my keys. I said, I'm leaving my key here. Because in my mind, I'm battling whether I'm going to come back or not. as I'm getting ready to go for my walk, and my dog is like excited because he thinks we're going to go for a walk. And I said, no, I'm not taking you this time.
But y'all want to get in the comment section and be like, oh, well, what about this? Like, why is it like when we're raising awareness on something that's happening against human rights, rather than just, if you're going to leave a comment saying, you know, yo, that is messed up. Man, that's messed up. You got to go, yeah, but what about, almost like you trivializing it. Like, it almost has this slight undertone, like you're a little tired of hearing this narrative. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. That you're tired of hearing that narrative. Imagine that.
Thank you for watching Swaz Media. If it is your
Okay, I'm going to definitely credit this young man for his channel, for him posting this. No, I didn't see suicide. And let me see if I can find the video again for those of you who came in late to see what I just showed a minute ago. One moment.
Hollywood is mourning a shocking loss. Stephen "Twitch" Boss has passed away. The 40-year-old was best known for being a dancer and longtime DJ on the Ellen DeGeneres Show. His wife did release a statement saying he was the best husband and father and an inspiration to his fans. The cause of his death has yet to be confirmed. He does leave behind 3 children.
They were such a sweet couple.
And it was
That's not what I was looking for. I'm sorry. I was looking for where the reporter talked about how the wife ran to the LAPD station, frantic because she could not get in touch with her husband. And she talked about how he did not take his keys, which was not like him. Ladies and gentlemen, I beseech you, particularly men, because women, for most are, we'll go get some help. Even if we're not sure we need it, we're going to check it out. Men, I beseech you, please talk to somebody, reach out to somebody. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. If you are going to look for a counselor or a therapist, it is an intimate relationship. The first one may not be the right one for you. Then you find another one until somebody is simpatico with you. The therapist I've seen off and on for the past 5 to 6 years, it took me, and he's a white man, 60. But let me tell you something. That man has helped me save my life. Talk to somebody. And again, like I said, before I met him, I met with some women, I wasn't feeling it. Met with some men, wasn't feeling it. Black, white, and all in between. But I was referred to this person by a friend of mine who happens to be a clinician herself and used to work with him. I went and had my first conversation with him. He asked me some probing questions. I started breaking down. He helped me peel back the layers of my mind and the trauma and the things that I was battling. There have been times over the course of the past 15 years that I had to change medication. There's some times throughout the course of the years they had to increase the dosage. There was a time about 15 years ago, I don't mind sharing with you, because if it can help somebody, that's what I'm here for. There was a time off and on that I would, have to take medication, or so I thought, because when major things were happening in my life, like when I lost my grandfather and I went through a divorce and all those things. So, there was times that they gave me the medication. This was before I was officially diagnosed. Well, at some point, they did run some cognitive and all those other tests, and it came back that I did have a major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. And so there were times that after taking the medication, I would feel like myself, and I thought that I was okay, and I'd stop taking it. And because I didn't want to feel like I was dependent upon it. And a lot of times I would regress, of course, because like Coach Clinician said, there is a chemical imbalance, and the doctor said those exact same things to me. And I felt like to have to take the medication that I was somehow crazy. And the doctor said to me that if you were diabetic and you had to take insulin, and if you didn't take insulin, you would die, would you take it? I said, yes. She said, well, this can be just as serious. Your mind. You have a chemical imbalance and this helps you. And for no other reason, the main reason that I said, no matter what, I will continue to take it, is that I didn't want my daughter to wonder which mom she was coming home to on any given day. The reason I continue, because again, even though I know that these are things that I struggle with on a daily basis, like Kosher says, because I have a diagnosed condition, but when you see the depravity, when you see the interaction in the world, it weighs on you. I fight every day. I fight for myself. I fight for my family. I fight for my husband. Because I know it gets better. I have to be here, though. I have to be here, though. So for those of you who are battling and you don't understand, I get it. But it is a lie and the trick of the devil to get you to believe that is the only way. Life has pain in it. I refuse to give up. I'm begging you not to. I'm begging you not to. No, you don't. No, you don't. So again, I'm going to tell you, for these in these YouTube streets, in these social, back off sometimes. I do. Back off. Because the people who really mean you good, they're going to feed you good. All right, that's enough. I just had to, it was on my heart. I'm saddened by it. I'm saddened by this young man. I'm saddened by so many who have felt like it's the only way. And I'm not coming from a place of judgment because I know what it feels like. But I'm asking you to fight. And fighting means talking to somebody. Fighting means reaching out for help. Fighting means calling the hotline. I'm gonna tell you something. I have called the suicide hotline. I have called the Veterans Crisis Line. I have called the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I have called them all over the past 15 years or so because I want to be here. I want to be here. I get emotional at the thought if I would have, my baby, my youngest G baby by my daughter, she is 18 months and she is doing the most ridiculous stuff right now. And for a select few who I've allowed into my life, I've shared pictures, I've shared videos. I can't imagine having missed any of that. These kids are going to grow up without a father. And a father who took his own life. So I'm going to ask you again to fight. And I'm going to say to you, it does get better, but you got to be here to see it. You got to be here to see it. All right. Thank y'all for stopping by, for indulging me, for participating in the conversation with this in the chat. I appreciate it. I would ask that you consider liking and like the video, please. I forgot to say that. I always forget to say that. Like the video, and subscribe to the channel, please. Share the content if anybody that you think might be struggling. And here's the thing: a lot of times you don't know if somebody's struggling, but it don't hurt to ask. It don't hurt to ask. So until next time. Ciao for now.
Said the guy story, tell. You don't hear me. Said I got a story about a girl. Yeah. Check. See, I've been up all night, typing this love letter. Open your saying I love and keeping me on red. I don't want nothing more in the way. Just the way. I don't know the drop. So I say hi. Ain't no pressure, just wanna do this one. Something wicked to share up on a timeline. My time, girl, magic carpet around the world. She'll show you that you can't deny. Straight hair, all girl, right as diamond, ask her, she's my one, little girl. Oh, mama.
First we outside, you beaming your light, giving your shades of dope. Now walking the pool, so water my yeast. So you had a play that game, but the devil is on my knees for peace. Girl, your love is the antidote. Body like a goddess, your beauty on displays and the funnies and the funnies. You shining like discos, but who put that through the fire? This rose, your envelope, baby, let's disclose. I don't beat around bushes, so bad, I don't tip toes. Not a ballerina, but I drop jaws, spoken words that rain dancing in tip jaws. I applaud. But these problems, but face feeling so colossal. Push up with the dirt, digging in my fossils. Every hurt, I trust God. I drop down before don't tell me that they lost you. It's two sides to every coin, every rose gon' have its song. I'm seeing these feels, my palms bleed. Baby, your rain can stains from these knees. I still need